Hey everyone, it's Rachel again. I'm going to be talking to you about your interior display and secondary window option. So this is going to be created using the same shades that we used to create our windows. The only difference is going to be they're going to create these hanging linear pieces as opposed to fanned out pieces that are attached onto the wall. For your interiors, you're going to cut down your fans into thirds. If you're doing the secondary window option, you're going to be cutting your fans down into halves. So you'll just note there's a little bit of difference in the width. The reason the interiors are a little bit more narrow is just so that you have a little bit more freedom spatially. The halves can get kind of wide. If you don't have a ton of space in your interiors, it can kind of overtake the space. So we would recommend doing thirds for your interiors. I'm gonna start by taking my tape measure, measuring this out. So I've got 3 feet, so I know I'm gonna cut this into 1 foot sections. So I'm just gonna make a little mark for myself at each foot. Again, if you have a narrow space, do that into quarters, not thirds. Take my scissors and I'm just gonna cut where I've marked. I'm gonna try to cut as straight as possible. And then when I attach these together, I'm gonna make sure all the cut ends are on the same end so that if it is a little bit wonky, they're at least like wonky on the same side and you get at least one like nice straight edge. So just really carefully cutting as straight as I can. If you need, you can shift it around to get it from the other side. Okay. And then I'll make that last cut so we have our 3 pieces. So I'm gonna take my 3 pieces. I'm gonna find where my adhesive strip is. I'm gonna kind of line them all up to adhere them together. So this is really similar to our fan prep before. Pay attention to where the fold ends and the next one begins so that you just make a new kind of fold. You don't want to have like a weird attachment point. And then again, double check that your cut ends are facing the same direction. Line up your edges. And adhere together. And then I'll come here and do exactly the same thing. Make sure again that our edges are aligned correctly. If you have the cut edge, maybe line up that straight edge first and adhere them together. So now I have what will create about an 8-foot length. So I have my interior piece, so the one that we cut into thirds. I have treated it with spray paint and paint marker, each side, one end. Paint, spray, copper, and then the paint marker that is red. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch it out and begin kind of like folding to create the shape that I'll then thread onto my needle. So I'm gonna try kind of folding it on top of itself. Just kind of interesting angles. So I'm not just folding straight on top. We're kind of creating some angles here. And so now we have the piece folded. I have a piece of monofilament threaded onto a needle, and now I'm going to thread this folded piece of combined shades onto my needle. As I'm threading the paper, I'm aiming my needle for anywhere there's a crease. So I'm not like coming in the middle of a pleat. I want to find the crease. So I'm going to start stabbing through one layer at a time, kind of exactly how we stacked them. It's okay if it flops over. You just want to kind of keep the general shape that you created when you folded. So one layer at a time, finding the little creases as you poke through. Okay, so now I have my shade strip threaded onto some monofilament. So I'm going to take the needle off, and I'm just going to tie this off for the time being onto a binder clip, just so that it doesn't pull back through and we have something to kind of hold on to. We'll tie that off in a more permanent manner once we're done with the installation.